Hey, everybody. How's it going? Well, that's awesome. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers show presented by Bet365 and live from the Xfinity studio. I am your host today, Charlie O'Connor, in a different chair today. And with me to make up for the absence of our fearless leader, Bill Matz, is my good friend, Steve Jaco. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure, Charlie. I think this is number 4 or 5 of the week, so I have been here a lot. I might as well just move into the studio at this point. But you need a loud, dark-haired, facial-haired man to sit in one of these seats. So here I am.
That's true. And I will at some point be wearing a mustache on a show, but I will not be growing the mustache. So to get the facial hair quota, we need some Steve.
We got it. We got it right here. And Charlie, everybody in the comments is super pumped for Mustache Day. It's unbelievable how obsessed the listeners and the watchers are with this mustache. It is just wild.
I know. And we will definitely do that, perhaps even on Sunday
Ooh,
for the next game. Maybe.
Yeah.
But even in the absence of William Matz, we have a great show for you today. So before we get going, hit that like button. We are going to get started off the jump with, I would say, the most newsy thing of the last 24 hours, or at least the thing that probably had the people most concerned, rightfully so, was the absence of Cam York from the third period of last night's game. Last night's game was as good of a game as you're going to get in terms of not having things to complain about. I guess you could say, like, well, there was a part of the second period where they gave the Sabres a chance to get back in the game, but then they immediately score after giving up a goal. So not a lot of time to really stew on that. But Cam York does miss the third period. He is deemed out for the rest of the game. They didn't give us details on the injury, but Rick Tocchet after the game said it was an upper body injury. Today, we got news that he is day-to-day. He was not at practice today, along with Travis Sanheim, who was a maintenance day. But it does seem like Cam York avoided major injury. Unclear exactly when the injury happened, but it seems like it may have happened earlier in the second period. He took a high hit, I believe, from Jason Zucker, then was involved in the scrum after Trevor Zegras took that dirty hit from Rasmus Dahlin and probably got popped up high in that as well. I'm not quite sure what the injury is, but it does seem like he's avoided major injury. However, Tocchet did open the door for the possibility that York may not play in Sunday's game against the Colorado Avalanche.
Oof, that's not great because that's already a tough matchup for the Flyers. But hearing that he's just day to day and it's not something more serious is huge because Cam York is just such an important part of this Flyers team. I mean, looking just at time on ice right now, he is second on this team on time on ice, 23-31 a game, just a vital component to this defense. So if he was out for a while, I would be real worried about this team's playoff chances because Forster's already a huge defensive component of this team, missing him. So not having York on top of that would be really rough. So one game of pain with the Colorado Avalanche. I don't want to see Zamula and Juleson, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And especially if it's just one game he's missing, deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, while Rasmus Dahlin did skate in the morning skate yesterday, he was not on the ice today with the team for practice. He's getting closer. It's clear that he's not going to be back in the next week or so. Tocchet basically put it kind of, roundabout sort of way. He said he's like 2 to 4 weeks away, 2 to 3, something like that. It's shorter than a month, longer than a week. So 2 to 3 weeks, let's say. So he's not going to be able to jump in immediately for Cam York. If Cam York has to miss time, doesn't seem like he's going to miss much. But if he can't go on Sunday against the powerhouse Colorado Avalanche, obviously one of the best, if not the best skating team in hockey, probably the best team in hockey, especially if you're basing it off of the results thus far. I believe they have one single regulation loss this year, and that's it.
Oh, that's just disgusting. Disgusting.
Not having Cam York for that game, given the fact that Cam York is a very mobile defenseman who is a very quality defensive defenseman especially, and has been very helpful on the power play. That'll hurt. But as you mentioned, they do have options. None great options, but they have options to replace Cam York if he can't be in the lineup on Sunday. The first option, Noah Juleson and Egor Zamula in the lineup together. They've generally been doing something of a rotation, especially since Emil Andrae has sort of solidified his spot as an every night guy. They've been rotating Juleson and Zamula. This would involve them playing them both, which, again, Colorado matchup is always going to be tough. It'll be even tougher if you've got Juleson and Zamula both, and we'll get to Zamula a little later on. Option B, you could call Adam Yinning back up. He did get in games at the beginning of the year, held his own. That said, I'm not sure why you would do that unless you really, really are not high on Juleson and Zamula, given the fact that they're both still here and you could play both of them, and that would be it since it's a home game. Option 3, which would be the exciting option, although I don't think they would do it. Christian Kyrou is doing quite well in the AHL, and he would be a more of a mobile replacement for York, maybe help out a little bit on the power play, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're probably just going to roll with Juleson and Zamula if York can't go.
Cairo only really makes sense if Cam York's going to miss like a week or two, like
Yeah.
if he's going to be out an extended period. Cairo is an exciting thought
He
though,
is.
because that was I love that trade, smart trade. Clearly, there's not a role for Samu Tuamala in this organization. It made no sense given their wing depth, which is their strength right now. So Christian Cairo right now is tied for 4th on the Phantoms in points with 14. He's got 4 goals, 10 assists so far. So good numbers, a lot of fun. I just think let's just deal with the pain for one game, and it's gonna stink. Like nobody really likes watching Zamula. Occasionally, he does have a really nice pass in the offensive zone. He's a little bit more mobile. Juleson's slow, but he's a crafty veteran for the most part. Like he kind of, I don't know. He's good with the angles and stuff, but if he does miss, him catching up is not pretty to watch. It's just it's like it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty, especially. I knew Colorado was good, but I just looked at their numbers on the year, and McKinnon has 46 points in 26 games. That is unreal. He is just what a phenomenal talent. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Marty Nietzsche is over point per game. Cale Makar, of course, like just ridiculous lineup. So I don't know. It's going to stink, but deal with it. So pairing wise, what do you see if they roll with Zamula and Juleson for that game?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I wonder if you give Drysdale a chance with Sanheim.
I like that.
That would be
I
interesting.
like that a lot.
And then maybe you go, Sealer, Andrae, and then you do Zamula, Juleson as your third pair and just try to give them as limited minutes as possible. What they did in the beginning of the year when York was out, though, is they moved Sealer up to play with Sanheim. Maybe they'll try that again. However, Sealer has been, I would say, just decent this year. He has not looked as good as he's looked in past years. So given the fact that they've seen him, I wouldn't say he's been terrible, but his play has dipped a little bit. I get the sense maybe he's adjusting to this whole, like, I'm not playing under John Tortorella where I'm just told to block every shot. Like, that style worked perfectly for him. I think there might be a little bit of an adjustment for him to the whole, like, oh, I have to let the goalie see the shots now? Okay, I got to readjust how I think in the defensive zone. I wonder if they'd be willing to give him another look on the top pair as they were in the beginning of the year when he was coming off of a strong season. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'd be intrigued to see a Sanheim Drysdale top pair and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I mean, Drysdale has just come so far from when they got him, and it seemed like he had no idea how to play defense. He just was clueless out
he's
there.
got so much better at defense, specifically.
So much better at defense. He's a fun player to watch now. He feels like a guy who could be a valuable part of this organization moving forward. And I know there were people that questioned that at times early last year and stuff. Going back to Sealer, though, what a perfect John Tortorella defenseman that man was. Oh my God. And is really, but he just, you're right. It feels like he has to make adjustments. He maybe doesn't have the same role in this system. It has been great to see Emil Andrae really become valued and get the coach's attention like he has. Andrae has just been so much fun to watch every night, just taking risks offensively in a way that the other defensemen don't. And it's been a shot in the arm for this team, I thought.
I totally agree. But yeah, going back to the Avalanche for a second, not only is their record very good, and not only are all of their top point producers producing incredible seasons thus far, their underlying metrics at 5-on-5, incredible as well. They are at in terms of expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5 thus far through 26 games, they're at 59.39%. That is nearly 3 percentage points ahead of the nearest team, which is the Carolina Hurricanes, who are at 56.4%. The Avs are 3 percentage points better than the second best team in terms of carrying play. This is going to be a game where if the Flyers are going to win it, they're going to need a really, really good goaltending performance, and then they're just going to need to bear down and maybe find a way to win in a shootout because this Avs team is a wagon.
Yeah, and especially after that Monday game where Dan Vladar not only was he not at his best, but the Flyers overall,
Yeah.
they had a turd of a game. It just was not a good game for them at all. And the defensive support they gave Vladar was extremely lacking, especially on the penalty kill in that game. They can't do that in this game. And they've got a little bit of a lull. It's Wednesday to Sunday, so they've got some time off. I don't know if that's actually good or bad for the Flyers because it kind of seems when they have a little bit of time off, they're a little rusty when they come back. So I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping they really get up for just this absolute wagon of a team. Also, I'm looking at their goaltending numbers. They're hard to score against. Scott Wedgwood, he's 13-1-3 with a 207 GAA and a 920 save percentage. Oof. Even Mackenzie Blackwood has a 930 save percentage. Like that was their problem in the past couple of
Yeah.
years was goaltending, and they seem to have solved it.
Yeah, this team, I'm expecting them to regress at some point, basically just to the realm of mere mortals. But it does look like the Avalanche are the clear-cut Stanley Cup favorite through the first near third of the season, and the Flyers are going to get an up-close look at just how good this team is. We'll see if they can hang. Well, we're going to talk a lot about the Russians, specifically Matvei Michkov, but the other ones as well, Zamula and Nikita Grebenkin. But before we do, let's just get our first ad break out of the way so we can just roll right in to Matvei Michkov talk and not have to stop. So we're going to hear from our sponsors. And our first sponsor is our partners at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. They live stream 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL. And Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting. Today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet win or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now I want to tell you about our partners at Monarch. Because holiday season, it's obviously a tough one for managing finances. I certainly know this very well. You got Black Friday sales, you got to buy presents, you got to buy stuff for parties. It's a lot of money going out of my wallet and my bank account. I'm not going to lie. So if you want to keep your finances under control this holiday season, you need to be using Monarch. It's rated Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or on your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. You're seeing all the travel, gift expenses add up already this year. It was shocking, and using Monarch was a wake-up call. It made me stop and adjust my spending before the credit card bill arrived. And right now, checking my holiday spending category to make sure I don't start the new year with a debt hangover. It's my essential year-end financial reset tool. I can link everything, investments, 401ks, property value, to get my true net worth and stay on top of end-of-year priorities like maxing out my contributions to my 401k or Roth IRA before the deadline. Easily keeping track of my finances with Monarch means that I can relax and enjoy the holidays for once. Because Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. They do the heavy lifting, and we promise you'll never have to touch a spreadsheet again. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code PHLY at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. Now we are back, and we are going to talk some Matvei Michkov. And interestingly enough, I was already planning to talk about Matvei Michkov today because I think there's enough going on with him that he was worth discussing anyway. And then I was there as well, but all the media that was at the Voorhees Flyers Training Center today got to speak with Matvei Michkov on the record with the translator they provided. So we have a bunch more information about Matvei Michkov, but I wanted to kick this off with pointing out that it's very clear he is very much in the process of turning his season around, of rebounding from what was undeniably a slow start. And you really just have to take a look at his first 13 games and his last 13 games. We're through 26 games. You really can just split the season in half. And we're looking at these numbers. through first 13 games, understandably, people were frustrated. He had only a single goal, 5 assists for 6 points. The underlying metrics were good. 53.65% expected goal share, 5 on 5. It's pretty solid. Certainly no complaints there, but the point production was not. Last 13 games, though, 7 goals, 3 assists for 10 points, 55.48% expected goal share. So the expected goal share, where it was good before, is better now. And now the goals are coming. And it's worth pointing out that based on his production over the last 13 games, that is a 44 goal, 63 point pace. Better goal production than last year, similar point production. Just looking at these last 13 games, he's basically the same guy from last year, Steve.
Love that. I love that he's bouncing back, and it really lends a lot to the, off-season training regimen or lack thereof, and taking some time off. And I think he learned a lesson here, because we keep forgetting Matvei Michkov is very young. He is 20, about to turn 21. That's a young guy. He also is learning a completely different league. He was a KHL player. He learned the Russian game, came over to the NHL last year, figured out the NHL game for the most part, but he's still learning. And he also changed coaches, completely new coach. And I know people want everything now. We're very impatient culture, and we're an impatient fan base, given, it's been a while since they have won a Stanley Cup, as we all know. But to see Matvei Michkov learn and grow like he has, I think Rick Tockett's really learning what kind of player he is and how to utilize him best, has been really great. Last 13 games, love what I've seen.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think you make a good point about the change of coach, and we'll get into that a little bit later with regards to Tocchet. But even without the chatter of like, oh, how is Michkov working with Rick Tocchet? Everyone on the team is having to adjust to a new coach. They're having to adjust to a new style, and it makes sense that a kid who's still just 20 years old, like he turns 21 in a couple days, he's not even yet legal to drink in this country, like it makes sense that it was going to take him a little bit of time to adjust to a new coach, especially when he's only been in the league 2 years and this is his second coach in 2 years.
Frankly, the guys who have seemed to have the easiest time adjusting to the system are the newest guys. Trevor Zegras, right? Comes over from the Ducks. I mean, he's just new overall. He just seems to just be playing his game. He's also a guy who's been in the league for a few years at this point. And you also look at over at Christian Dvorak, right? Christian Dvorak is just kind of a steady Eddie player, one of those just solid guys. Comes in, and he's had a really good time adjusting to Tocchet's system.
And Dvorak already played for Tocchet.
Exactly.
He has that experience where he knows what it's like, because he played for him under in Arizona.
And you get all these complaints about like Konechny, right? So you hear about Michkov, Konechny, guys who have been here a little bit, and well, Michkov hasn't been here that long.
Yeah.
Guys that were doing well, specifically under Tortorella's system, that have had some adjustments and are learning how to play a different way.
It does seem like there was going to be an adjustment period for everyone, but obviously the spotlight is going to be more on Michkov, not just because he's, Matvei Michkov, he's the hope of the fan base, but also because he was real good last year. This is a guy who led the team in goals last year, was right up there for the team lead in points. I mean, obviously people are going to be paying closer attention when a guy like that gets off to a slow start. Add in the language barrier, add in the chatter from Montreal fans about, oh, he's a problem. Like it was positioned to be a focused league wide, because there are people who seemingly are waiting for Michkov to fail, that want him to fail. And those people are very annoying, but they are out there. So it was not surprising this blew up to the degree it did, but it does seem like he's turning the corner.
There are definitely people that want him to fail, not Flyers fans.
Definitely not Flyers. Well, maybe the really bad
Flyers fan and you want him to fail, I got some questions for you.
Don't be a Flyers fan anymore.
Yeah,
just
don't be
say
a Flyers fan anymore. Because he's going to be here a good long while, and he likes being here. Even when he was struggling, right, when he wasn't putting up numbers, if you just look at, like, this is something simple, but you look at his Instagram, right, he's still posting highlights when they win. He's posting pictures of them celebrating when they win. He's very team focused. He was excited to be a Flyer in the first place. Still seems very excited to be a Flyer. Very competitive guy, despite whatever you might have heard about the training regimen in the offseason. This guy wants to win, I think, first and foremost. He wants to be the best, but he also wants to win, and you can tell he likes winning.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's always the impression I've got from him. I think one thing that can get lost in not the Michkov discourse, but in terms of just the what can get lost literally in translation, is that Michkov, when he's doing interviews, does talk a lot about wanting to score goals and wanting to score points. And I think some people do take that as a bit of selfishness. And number one, I want my star players to be a little selfish. So I don't have
Yes.
a problem with that. But I also don't think it's coming from a place of like, I want the points, I want the stats, I want the glory. He's coming at it from a place of when I score goals and when I score points, my team wins. And this is my job. Like, it's Nick Sealer's job to block shots and be a good defender. It's Dan Vladar's job to stop shots and put up a good save percentage. Michkov is like, it's my job to score points. And if I'm not scoring points, then I feel like I'm not doing my job. And if I'm not doing my job, I'm not helping the team win. So there is a selfishness. Obviously, he cares about, he wants to achieve his personal goals. And you want star players to be selfish in that sense. But I do think a lot of it does come from, if not most of it, comes from this belief that when I'm scoring, the team is more likely to win, and I want the team to win. It is coming from a team place, not an individual place, even if people may hear comments sometimes and think it's coming from an individual place.
It's because this whole hockey culture of this, like, well, you got to give 110%. It's all about the crest on the front. It's all about the team, blah, blah, blah. It's very boring. It's very boring, especially as somebody who has to cover this team
Yeah.
and discuss 82 games a season. And it's only 82 because they don't make the playoffs. Matvei Michkov is one of those guys who wants to make the playoffs. He wants to be the best. I love the chip on his shoulder. And they need more guys like that. I think having that kind of attitude about being the best, like people give Nathan MacKinnon a lot of crap for basically being a health food freak, right? But
It works for him.
It works for him. You can't, I mean, what did I say? 46 points in 26 games? You can't deny those results. And this all comes from wanting to be the best
Yeah.
and succeed. And that's where Michkov is coming from. I love what Trevor Zegras has brought to this team so far.
Yeah.
Trevor Zegras is way spicier of a player than I anticipated him to be. That head bob he was doing at the Penguin the other night, just overall, like he's been in guys' faces. And when Michkov is at his best, he's in guys' faces. You saw this in the Buffalo game. And as he's gotten better in the past 13 games, you've seen him more annoying the other team, getting in their faces, being that kind of player, an aggressive, good hockey player.
Yeah, and we'll get into the drawbacks of that in a few minutes. But before that, I do want to talk a little bit about kind of trying to combine these two things. About number one, the fact that he does at his core want the team to win. But number two, about this whole thing about hockey players being boring, because I think this quote does touch on both of those things. This is something we got from him today, asking him about, changes he's trying to make to his game, how he's looking to improve. And the quote was, I'm going to read it from the translator. So it's not perfect, obviously, but from the translator we had today. I'm trying to be a universal player. If it will help the team, I'm willing to work on it and get better at it. Now, universal, I took to mean more complete, not I don't want to be, a defensively oriented player, but he wants to be a little bit more of a complete player. And then you have that final sense. If it'll help the team, I'm willing to work on it and get better at it. And to me, this plays directly into those comments you hear from Tocchet and even from his teammates about, that he's learning how to play the game the right way. I get the sense there's a lot of people, especially on social media, that hear that and just like want to jump off the Ben Franklin bridge. Like they don't want to hear that Matvei Michkov has to play the right way. All they want to hear is, no, just score more points. That's like that. You're not doing anything wrong. Just score more points. And who cares about playing the right way? And I also think that some people get annoyed because they don't want to like this. A lot of this, I think the annoyance stems from frustration with the players who are still here, where it's like, I don't want to hear Sean Couturier talk about playing the right way. Yeah, they've been playing the right way all the way to being one of the worst teams in the league for the last 4 years. I do think that's a lot of where it comes from. But I also think that as boring of a cliche as it is, of playing the right way, I do think it's important for Michkov not to be Mark Stone, not to be Yuri Lettinen, but to be a little bit more complete. And I don't think it's a bad thing for him to be taught to be a more complete player. And this comment, the fact that he brought it up really unprompted, tells me that he gets it because it's being positioned to him and he's buying in that like, hey, if I'm a little bit more of a complete player, I'm going to help the team win more. And since that's what I care about the most, I'm all in.
And you've been seeing it. Like, I actually heard his name mentioned by one of the Flyers announcers in a positive way for a defensive play for the first time, maybe ever.
Yeah, there was
The other day.
that in the Devils game. He had that great back check. He broke up a play. It was like, wow, that was Matvei Michkov. Great
Brian,
play by Michkov there.
Brian Boucher called it out, and Bouch just always calling out little things like that. One of the best in the biz. I love Brian Boucher.
He's great.
But he's so good. But, it's those little things that are great to see him coming along. But here's the biggest thing. And people have been complaining all year, much to your annoyance, that about the ice time for Matvei Michkov.
Which, I mean, I would like to see him get more ice time too.
Absolutely. But a great way to get more ice time is to not be a complete defensive liability out there, to be a more complete universal player. So by becoming a more complete player, he's going to earn more ice time eventually because he can be trusted in all situations at that point. And that's going to be a big, big thing for Matvei Michkov moving forward in his career.
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily like you want him to be trusted in all situations in the sense that there's never a time where you just can't play him. But he's obviously never going to be the guy. Like, I don't think Matvei Michkov is regularly going to be a guy who you throw out there when the other team pulls their goalie and you're trying to kill a game. Like, that's just not his role. That might be Porter Martone's role. It might be, definitely will be Tyson Forster's role. I don't know if that's ever going to be Matvei Michkov's role, but you certainly don't want him in a position where the coach is hesitant to put him out there with 5 minutes left. Yes. In a game where you're leading by a goal. You want him to have the confidence that at the very least, Michkov will accept the situational nature of games where, yeah, maybe I'll cheat a little bit more 5 minutes into the first period of a 0-0 game than I will with 5 minutes left in a 3-2 game when we're winning.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll cheat a little bit more when there's 5 minutes left in a 4-2 game that we're losing. Like, there's a situational element to it that I do think he's learning, because back in Russia, he played on mostly crap teams where it was like, well, if he doesn't score 4 points a game, they're not going to win. So, of course, he's going to be going for offense all the time. The Flyers aren't a great team, but they're a better team than Sochi. Like, they have actual high-quality athletes and NHL players, and they don't necessarily need Michkov to score all the goals if they're going to win a game. Michkov can just score 1 or 2 goals and help them win a game.
Well, especially in the current situation where you have Trevor Zegras, right? And Trevor Zegras has been your point per player game this year and just been, I think, way beyond, our expectations for him coming in. He's just been so fun to watch. And I think Michkov is getting used to having another guy who can kind of carry the load a little bit offensively. But, that KHL versus NHL mentality, right? Just the quality of teams. There's a lot of factors going into this. This is not a simple black and white situation for Matvei Michkov here. But one of my favorite goals that he had recently was the one in, I believe it was the Devils game, where he got out of the box, got the feed from TK, went down, and he just crashed the puck into the
Yeah, it was great.
That is like the Michkov that we know and love from last season. And that just shows that he is coming along. I think he has reached that point where he's rediscovered, the game that we all loved last year. And I think he's basically there. He's just got to, put the biscuit in the basket a little bit more, but he's doing a lot more.
Yeah. And over these last 13 games, certainly has been with that 7-goal, 44-goal pace. Also, the other thing that came up, and this is definitely an important part of understanding the slow start, is the fitness element. And he did speak to that on a couple occasions. The first comment was more directed towards a question about, well, what's changed? What's changed over the last few weeks? And he basically says, you have good days and bad days. Most important to keep on working and concentrate on your work, then everything will happen. I know I'm talented and I just need to work. And I love to hear that, because it's like, look, we all know Michkov's got the talent, but you got to put the time in off the ice if you want to be the elite player that he believes, and I think most of us believe, that he can be. And this is where you get specifically into the training fitness thing. Kevin Kurz, at the end of the session, asked a question about, he basically framed it as, you mentioned a few weeks ago that, over the summer, you hadn't been on the ice for 3-4 months. It was the first time you'd ever done that. And you think that contributed to your early season struggles. Have you thought about changing that this summer? Have you gotten that far? Or is that not even on your mind because you're so totally focused on the season? And Michkov gave a very good answer. I think this is a good answer pretty much for everybody. I can't imagine anybody's going to read this and not like what they read here. So here is the quote. I think I'll start training here as in Voorhees, near the Flyers in North America. Maybe we'll go home for a bit, but what's happening right now, I'm not feeling good about it. I'm not happy with my points. I'm sure I can do much better and score a lot more and make better for my team. You cannot score in every game, but physically, I need to be ready for it. And in February, so this is during the Olympic break, I need to spend the time to be ready for the rest of the season. If you have the good physical form, everything else will come along. This tells me that he gets it. That he gets that, look, I probably didn't train the way I should have in the summer, whether that was tactically or whether that was just, he didn't train as hard as he could have. He didn't come to camp in ideal shape, and it hurt him to start the year, and he's not going to let that happen again. And I think that's always been my overarching point throughout all of this is that I've heard from enough people that I trust that he did not come to camp in the best of shape. But that truth does not mean that he's a bust. It doesn't mean that he's lazy. It doesn't mean that he needs to be traded or that the Flyers are going to trade him because they're so frustrated. What it means is that a 20-year-old made a miscalculation in the summer. I mean, I remember what I was doing when I was 20 years old, and it wasn't training and eating well.
I was being very lazy in my case.
Exactly.
Big time lazy.
And I don't think Michkov was necessarily being lazy. I just don't think he was maybe as focused on putting himself in the best possible position to succeed this season as he could have been. And these comments today, number one, they stand as like an implicit admission on Michkov's part that well, if I'm going to be training here and, I need to be in the good physical form, that's an implicit admission that maybe he wasn't in the good physical form to start this season. But number two, it shows that he recognizes he made a mistake and he's not going to let it happen again. And that's always been my point, is that it's no big deal. Is it a little annoying this season because we're not getting to see the great Matvei Michkov from the jump? Yeah, it's a little annoying for people like us who have to cover this team and fans who want to watch this team every night and live or die on the outcome of every game. It's a little bit of annoying, but it's not the end of the world as long as it's a one-time thing. These comments tell me looks like it's going to be a one-time thing.
There was a man prominent in the Philadelphia sports scene who once said, I got to do a better job. And I think that's Matvei Michkov here. But looking overall, it's great to see him say this. It's great to see him own up to the mistake and just say, look, I messed up. I'll do better. He is 20 years old, guys. Yeah. He's going to be 21. Very dumb. Your brain isn't even fully formed until you're 25, I believe. So let's give him this. And here's the thing. I don't really care about the beginning of the season. I mean, obviously every game matters, but if he's clicking on all cylinders at the end of the season, and he's playing games like he did in Buffalo at the end of last year, where even though the Flyers should lose that game, he's doing everything he can to get them to win that game. That's what I want to see. When it's clutch time, and I don't mean that in the Andrew McDonald clutch time set, but
please not the Andrew McDonald clutch time.
Yeah, I didn't mean. I'm sorry to conjure up those ghosts, but it's already hard seeing a defenseman in 47. It's just been terrible. But I want him when the chips are on the table, right? And he needs to score that big goal. I want him there for that. And it sounds like he's on track to be that guy.
Yeah. And even just looking at that, those splits that we talked about a few minutes ago, the first 13 games and last 13 games, over the last 13 games, at least statistically, maybe not by ice time standards, maybe not by Rick Tocchet standards, but purely by the numbers, he has been, over the last 13 games, been producing like the guy from last year. So it basically took him 13 games to get himself back to the point where he can at least be where he was last year. Now, obviously, the hope is that he's going to be even better than he was last year, and he's going to continue that upward trajectory to the point where he's a superstar, and he's battling guys like Celebrini and Leo Carlsson and Connor Bedard for scoring titles. That's the dream, and I hope he can get there. But at the very least, he's pretty much back to where he was last year, and we had a lot of fun watching him last year.
A lot of fun watching him last year. Just a joy to watch, just like I'm feeling about zegras so far this year. I actually think in a weird way, this Tyson Foerster injury is actually a big opportunity for Matvei Michkov.
Fair point.
They need somebody to step up and score. Tyson Foerster was leading the team in goals when he went down. He's still tied for the team.
Yeah, zegras has 10 now.
It's been one game, but he's tied.
He's still there.
I mean, given how zegras has played, I wouldn't be surprised if he was leading soon. But also, given Matvei Michkov's recent, streaks and everything, I wouldn't be surprised if Matvei Michkov was leading this team in goals in a couple weeks because he's right there. He's only 2 back right now. And I think, Foerster, this is a good opportunity for him to get more playing time, to be in there more often and to be a more important player in the top 6 for this team.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the frustration about Michkov's ice time is understandable and justifiable. And I'm not sure if it would have been addressed naturally. But now with Foerster out, it's sort of like, I don't know what kind of choice Tocchet really has. He put together, and we'll get into this in a little bit, he put back together the top power play unit from the beginning part of the year. He gave Michkov more ice time. I believe he ranked 5th in forward ice time at the end of last game, and that was despite Michkov taking 2 penalties. It's kind of like, well, I got to give somebody the ice time, and I don't think it's going to be Nikita Grebenkin, so Michkov is naturally going to get more, and hopefully that leads to more and more points. We're going to get into more Michkov talk after the break, but before that, I'm going to tell you about 2 more of our sponsors. So going to kick it off with our friends at Aura Frames. If you're a last-minute shopper like me, you know the feeling. I got to buy gifts for loved ones, and I don't know what to get. Just have no idea. Aura Frames is a solution with a gift that feels personal. And I like to get gifts that show how much you care about the person, not just like a random store-bought package or whatever was on sale on Black Friday or Cyber Monday or whatever. And that's what's great about Aura Frames. It's an inherently personalized gift. The pictures in the frame can be of anything that you know is special to that person. And the way you do it is you can upload unlimited photos and video. You just download the Aura app, connect to Wi-Fi, you preload your chosen photos before it ships, and you keep adding from anywhere, anytime. You can personalize your gift. You add a message before the gift arrives, and then you can share your photos and videos effortlessly straight from your phone all year long to show that person that you care about just how much you care about them. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. And for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using the promo code PHLY at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code PHLY. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us, the PHLY Flyers show, at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Now I want to tell you about our friends at Togo. To kick it off, I want to ask you a question, Steve. Do we really want Matvei Michkov playing goalie?
No.
No. I don't want to see Matvei Michkov playing goalie. It's not worth the risk. It's not worth the time. It's not worth the potential loss of money, both for the Flyers in terms of winnings and in terms of Matvei Michkov future revenue.
No, wrap him in bubble wrap.
As a player. You want your stars focused on doing what they do best, and the same goes for your business. You don't want your top people buried in operations, the tedious, time-consuming, redundant activities that wear the team down. So Togo can help any business looking to reduce operating costs, become more efficient, or unlock more time for their best people, from customer service and accounting to order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step operational processes. We take it off your plate at a fraction of the cost. Every engagement starts with free process mapping and engineering, no cost, no commitment. And Togo doesn't bill a dime until the real work begins. And with programs starting as low as $1,000 a month, you're not going to break the bank. Each Togo program includes dedicated staff, custom automations, and US-based process engineers who act as your quarterback or center or #1 defenseman, whatever you want to say, giving you complete control, total transparency, and instant efficiency. At Togo, you call the plays, we execute. So visit harnesstogo.com, scale smarter, work faster, and stay focused on winning. Now we are back. We're going to talk a little bit more Matvei Michkov because we've done a lot of positives about Matvei Michkov over the last, let's say, 13 games. Do you want to talk about a negative? This is a legitimate negative, although I don't think it's coming from a bad place. It's been a negative in terms of affecting the team. The penalties. He's taking a lot of penalties.
A lot.
You pointed out in our outline, he has 28 penalty minutes on the season, which is the most on the team. So it's more than, the guy whose job is to fight. It's more than Garnet Hathaway, whose job is to stir up energy and likely take a lot of penalties in the process.
And it's more than the number of games played he has.
And it's more than the number of games played that Matvei Michkov has. Not the best. 2 more minor penalties last night. He has 6 minors in his last 4 games. I guess...
All of them have been a little phantom.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't know what it is either, because he's gotten 2 interference calls that really bothered me in recent weeks. There was one in the Devils game that I was like, come on. He put the stick on the guy's back. I think it was Luke Hughes. He barely touched him. And
that was bad. Yeah.
And then there was the one last night. I think it was Benson.
See, it was interesting. Was that the consensus of the all? Because I watched that live, and to me that looked like the most obvious stupid penalty. Did people watching on TV think that was a weak call? Because I thought it was a glaring call.
I thought he kind of ran into him.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But I might have also been influenced by Brian Boucher, who
He thought it was a weak call. Okay.
Brian Boucher he did not change his stripes at all in this game. I'll just say that.
I respect that.
I don't know if it was the weakest, but I think Benson might have had a little bit of gamesmanship in there. Just a tiny bit.
Okay, maybe. The first one, the one in the Devils game, I agree. That was insane. If they were going to call that, you got to call that on every play. I thought the one last night was more legit. It's like, okay, you can't hit a guy when he's nowhere near the puck. Fair. But I do agree that maybe a couple of them have been a little bit weak.
Yeah. But overall, these numbers are still terrible.
You can't be taking 6 penalties in 4 games. You got to be smarter. I think it's coming from a place of intensity, and I like the fact that he's engaged in games. I like the fact that he's not soft. I like that he's battling physically. It's not like, if you're a guy who's never in the battle, you're never going to get penalties. He's in the battle, and I like that. But he just needs to clean up the discipline a little bit because he can't be putting his team, because he's doing so much now on the score sheet. He's producing. He's creating goals. He can't be potentially giving goals back by putting his team on the penalty kill.
He's just trying to get in the box so he gets sprung for those breakaways. Come on.
Honestly, I really hope that's not, and I don't think it is.
That'd be a very bad strategy.
It would be a very bad. Just wait for the Flyers to take a too many men or a puck over the last penalty, and then go in the box then.
Which will happen for sure. But yeah, 28 is way too many. Second on the team is Garnet Hathaway, who has 23. And granted, the fact that Garnet Hathaway has 23 while playing on the 4th line for like a dozen minutes a night at most, and I don't really understand that either, but he hits a lot. I do understand it in that regard. Like Hathaway, I saw the other night he had like 7 hits in one of the games. So like he is a guy who's out there throwing his body around, even if it isn't as effective as it's been in recent years. But like Hathaway makes sense there. And then I think next was Tippett and Zegras both have 20. And I imagine that's a lot more from the same place where Matvei Michkov's 28 come from, where you're competing out there, you're trying hard, and maybe you slash a guy by accident.
And also, it probably came from that brawl at the end of the Pittsburgh game too, right? Yeah. That's probably where they racked up, especially Zegras, where he racked up basically all those penalty minutes.
Dude couldn't even get in the shootout.
Exactly. So just something that I think Michkov needs to pay attention to. I don't think it's a long-term issue, but he does have a temper. And he can lose it at times, and it's just something he may need to reel in a little bit. We want the intensity. We just don't want him in the box because it's better when he's out there trying to score points.
And I kind of wonder if he's getting gamed a little bit by some of the vets with like some of that temper sometimes getting
very possible
into it. Yeah. So that's a good reason to maybe just like reel it in a little bit, but just a little bit. I like the intensity, just less time in the box.
Yeah. And then the other thing, which is something I do think that he's working on this. It seems like Tocchet believes it's helping his game. I've done some digging on this. I'm working on a piece on Michkov right now. I'll probably be out sometime this weekend. The fact that he's playing left wing, that's interesting. It's interesting on a couple levels. Number one, because he is, while he's a lefty shot, he's been a right wing basically his whole career. Him playing the left side is maybe something that doesn't necessarily come natural to him, but the production has improved since he's been moved there. The other reason why it's interesting from a Flyers perspective, Flyers have a lot of right-handed shooting right wings. If Matvei Michkov can work on the left side, I mean, might not be the worst thing for the team long-term.
I'm into that big time. I think that's a lot of fun. I have always thought, like, last year it was a problem because they tried to put him and Konechny on the same line quite a bit. And Konechny, they both wanted to play right wing. Neither of them wanted to be left wing. So having that versatility, frankly, if he can have the versatility to play either, that's a huge asset where you can just move him throughout the lineup wherever he needs to be, which I think that's a great thing for him moving forward. It's not quite being a switch hitter in baseball, but it's a little bit akin to something like that.
Yeah, and Alex Ovechkin, if you remember, he had stretches of his career on both sides of the wing. He was right wing for a while, then played left wing for a while, back to right wing. Now
he's okay with that.
Now he can do both, but like he had long stretches where he would play on his uncomfortable wing, and he ended up, scoring the most goals in NHL history. So I'm willing to give this a shot. And also, if Matvei Michkov does ultimately become more of a left wing than a right wing, Flyers have a lot more right wings in their pipeline than left wings. So if Michkov's a left wing, maybe not the worst thing.
Maybe not the worst thing. I'm down for it. I mean, whatever helps that versatility, whatever helps him get on the ice to score some dang goals. That's what I care about.
I would agree with you. So we have a few more segments that'll close out the Michkov conversation. But before we get into those segments, let's do our final round of advertising. So now I want to tell you about our partners at Rothman Orthopedics. So whether it's a sore knee, stiff shoulder, or nagging back pain, Rothman Orthopedics is here to help you get back to the life you love. Their team of specialists treats all kinds of orthopedic issues from everyday strains to long-term joint pain with care that's efficient, effective, and close to home. Don't let pain keep you sidelined. Schedule an appointment today at rothmanortho.com/PHLY. Rothman Orthopedics, your mobility, our mission. And I also want to talk to you guys about our partners, our sponsors, actually, at the studio, Xfinity. And I'm going to tell you, I've heard that some people go to other people's houses for Flyers games to watch them on television. And I heard a story from a friend who went to another friend's house. He was pumped to watch the Flyers game, and then he was crestfallen, devastated, in fact, regarding his friend's setup. Because it was a total mess. It was lagging, buffering, switching between apps to try to find the game. Now, this friend claimed he was a big fan, but my friend felt like he was fanfish. Because if you call yourself a true hockey fan, you got to have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. You can find the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. And the way I watch when I watch via Xfinity, it is next level because it is the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right here in my living room. Plus, Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So clear, it feels like I'm in the arena, even when I'm not in the arena. Sometimes I got 4 games going on at once, especially football.
Oh, yeah.
Because why not? On top of that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. So next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. All right. So now we are going to move to the other Russians on the team. But before that, I do want to talk about the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia. And that big deal is the new power play. Not new power play structure, not new power play tactics, but new power play personnel. Because the Flyers did make the decision prior to last night's game to reunite mostly the power play from the start of the year. It is one Matvei Michkov, we spent a lot of the show talking about, Trevor Zegras, Owen Tippett, Travis Konechny, and then instead of Jamie Drysdale, who was the defenseman to start out the year on that top power play unit, it is one Travis Sanheim.
Oh, this is like a John Tortorella nightmare right here.
Honestly, yeah, well.
Which, given how the power play was under John Tortorella, his nightmare is our dream.
It's our dream, exactly. They scored 2 goals last night, so early returns, very good. But I thought what was interesting about this was the reasoning that Rick Tocchet gave towards why he broke them up in the first place. And I pointed this out on Twitter, had some people talking about it.
I'm excited to see what Rick Tocchet has to say because this is an exciting group today. I mean, Matvei Michkov and Trevor Zegras together is the dream, right? Having your 2 most creative offensive players, these dynamos, I would call them, together creating magic in the offensive zone. That's what you want to see, especially with Tyson Foerster out of the lineup. Tyson Foerster has been great on the power play. That's where he got hurt. So to see having these guys together, especially because Zegras was working with the Foerster, Cates, and Brink line. So have them all together. Let's score some goals.
I would agree with that. And yeah, there's absolutely a thing where it's like, if Forster's out, you need to maybe take some risks. But essentially what Rick Tocchet said was that he broke them apart because he felt like, and this was something a preseason that was an issue, and then in the early season, it was also an issue. He thought they were giving up too many odd man rushes. They were giving up too many shorthanded rushes, and that's why he broke them apart. Because there was a lot of chatter in the fan base about why they weren't stacking the top power play unit the way most teams do, the way the Flyers did for years with Voracek and Giroux and Simmons and Gostisbehere all in the same unit. Why weren't the Flyers doing that with Michkov and Zegras? Specifically, it was why did you separate Michkov and Zegras? This was why. It was because he felt like they were taking too many risks, that the flankers were getting pulled too far deep into the offensive zone. And then if there was a turnover, they were giving up 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s going the other way and risking the possibility of goals. He did say, though, in that morning skate post availability, that he felt like the units have settled down a bit since then, and now he's willing to give it a shot. Look, top unit needs to score to stay together. Absolutely. That's going to be the case with anybody. But it's worth noting that it also seems like they have to avoid giving up big turnovers and big odd man rushes as well if they want to stay together, if they want to get some rope from their coach.
No, that makes total sense to me. And you don't want to see those odd man rushes back the other way. That is just Dan Vladar's nightmare right there. Nobody wants to see that at all. But yeah, having all that talent together on the top power play unit just seems logical. I'm looking at Colorado's right now. Marty Nietzsche is playing center. Landeskog on right wing, Lekonen on left wing, McKinnon at the point with McCarr. So you have everybody. It's just all the big guns on one unit. And I love just the idea of Zegras and Michkov together. Tippett, they seem to be utilizing his speed more and more better, throughout the season. Konechny's a guy that, despite all the complaints, the man scores points. So you want him up there. The interesting part to me is Sanheim, because Sanheim, I talk about dads a lot on this team, where like Christian Dvorak gets to play the dad role.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Trevor Zegras.
Yeah.
Like, and Sean Couturier does this a lot too, where there were responsible guys in there. And Travis Sanheim's kind of playing that here, where he gets to be the responsible defenseman at the back, kind of the man on the wall, if you will, watching everything going back the other way.
I think that's absolutely the thought process, because it's weird to me, at least it was at first glance, when I was like, okay, so you put the entire start of season power play on back together, but you don't put Drysdale on that unit. Now, part of that may be that Cam York has actually outplayed Jamie Drysdale on the power play so far this season. But it was a little odd, because it's like, well, you're putting it back together. Why aren't you putting it completely back together? I suspect it is because Travis Sanheim is the safety valve. He's the guy who's like, all right, well, I'm not willing to go with all offense only guys or offense first guys, let's call it. Let's have Sanheim there just in case things go bad. We trust him a little bit more to defend 2-on-1s better than Jamie Drysdale, who is still learning the intricacies of the position, especially with regards to that particular thing. So I think they look at it as Sanheim isn't that much of a downgrade from Drysdale on the power play, and he's probably safer in case things go real bad. I'll be curious, though, if at some point York gets moved up on that unit as well.
I'd be curious about that as well, because York did not get a fair shake under John Tortorella at all, especially when it came to the power. It always blew my mind that he wasn't using Cam York on the power play. Never made sense to me. One factor I really like here real quick is just Michkov, I feel like, has been getting better at those tip-in goals. So I think that's a really interesting factor here. And Zegras has just been a power play stud all year. So whoever you got, I just want Zegras playing with the top guys, because he is phenomenal in the power play.
Yeah, and Michkov actually even mentioned today that he's still getting used to this whole playing the net front. Now, I think he can play the net front and still pop out and do some puck handling in that area. It's kind of to the, I guess it would be, if you're staring straight ahead at the net, it would be to the right side of the net. He likes that area. He's always liked that area. So I think they can turn it into something of a net front hybrid role if this continues to work. But Michkov said he's going to have to learn it, and he's excited to learn it because he thinks he can provide real value there. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch as well. Hopefully this unit stays together.
He's very good at scoring those dirty.
He is.
In front.
He's a physical player. He's a physical player. Had a great setup of the typical, right around the net with that backhand pass through contact. So yeah, I'm not concerned about him being able to hold up under physical contact around the net. Now it's time for another segment. Our Future is Bright segment, presented by Shady Rays. And I want to talk about a player who got a bigger look last night and did quite well with that bigger look. Young Nikita Grebenkin in his rookie year with the Philadelphia Flyers, his first year in the NHL full-time, it appears. He is the guy who's getting the call first to replace Tyson Forster in the top 9, and playing with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink. Looked pretty darn good to me.
Yeah, I was happy with Nikita Grebenkin. I've been screaming for him all season to get some more ice time, because it's just, I know Bill will always call out the Flyers record with Nick Delorier in the lineup and say, they got a winning record with Delorier. And it's I know. And there is something about Delorier. The guys love him. He is definitely, I just saw the video he made with Gritty the other day where they were doing the balancing thing, building the Flyers. He's a fun guy. We all like Nick Delorier, but he's just not a good modern hockey player. Whereas Nikita Grebenkin brings speed, he brings size, he can score a little bit. I think I would love to see him just as a third liner somewhere, or even if you upgrade the fourth line at some point. I think he's a great fourth liner, but I want to see more out of him. It's been tough because Hathaway's just kind of been a shell of himself this year. Rodrigo Abel's just, he's there. He's a body.
Yeah, he's a guy.
I want to see him play with some talent. So seeing him play with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink was really cool. I want to see more of that, and I think we're going to see a lot of that.
I think we are too. And I think Where I'm at with Grebenkin is I do think that if he's going to be a part of this team long term, he's probably going to play a fourth line role. Like he's probably going to be a fourth liner. But at this stage of his development, I don't want him exclusively playing on the fourth line because I think if he's going to develop into a well above average fourth liner, you got to be giving him minutes, not with Rodrigo Robles. That's like hopefully he gets to the point where he can literally carry the fourth line and he can be your 10th forward where first time somebody gets hurt, he gets bumped up. Like kind of like the way we wish they would have used Michael Raffl back in the day, where it's like Raffl is like the best fourth liner. And then if somebody gets hurt in game or he's rolling, you move him up to the second line and have him play wing. But ideally he's on your fourth line instead of being on your first line. Grebenkin could be that over the long term. But right now, for development's sake, I want him getting more than 8 minutes a night with Rodrigo Robles and Garnet Hathaway.
Wait, you don't think Michael Raffl should have been playing with Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek?
Maybe not ideal. I love
don't
Michael
know about
Raffl,
that.
but he wasn't a first line NHLer.
I am 100% in agreement. Big time sarcasm. I liked Michael Raffl too. I thought that people were very unfair to him based on who he is. And I don't want that with Grebenkin. I don't think, like, you have to realize this is a third, fourth line player. This is not a guy. And if he's in the top line at any point, something's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, I just think that the Flyers are going to have depth. Given the amount of talent they have in the pipeline, they got Martone coming, they got Bump coming, they got Denver Barkey coming. They got guys that I think are more naturally gifted than Nikita Grebenkin that I'm going to want in that top 9 over him over the long term. But in the here and now, yeah, play Grebenkin in the top 9 and let him develop, let him gain confidence at this level so that, once he can do it in 14 minutes, then maybe down the road he can do it in 10 minutes and still be an impactful player in lesser minutes. It's hard to develop when you're not getting many minutes at the NHL level because you just can't work through your mistakes the same way you can when you're getting 13, 14, 15 minutes a night with players that can help you.
And he gets benched for his mistakes all the time. And it really sucks. Yeah. And that's the thing is when you look at a team like the Florida Panthers, who have been wildly successful over the past 3-4 years, it's because of their depth. Obviously, they have superstars, right? Kachuk is a superstar. Parkov is a superstar. But you look at Bennett, you look at Reinhart, you look at Verhaeghe, like they have guys down the lineup that can just play. And that whole lineup is good.
Yeah.
And I think if the Flyers are going to be a cup contending team, like obviously you're going to need like Martone and Michkov to hit, but you're also going to just need depth throughout the lineup. So getting guys like Grebenkin to click for the fourth line is huge.
I would agree. And I guess we're getting close to the end of the show. We still have one more discussion point we want to do. I think we want to talk about Egor Zamula, and then we will run through Super Chats. But in anticipation of that end of the show, maybe it's time we go to a little overtime.
Oh, yeah.
Is it overtime time?
I think it's overtime time.
It's overtime time.
Let's do it.
There we go.
It's overtime.
It's overtime. Okay. So we're now in overtime. Don't want to spend too much time on this, but we did say we're going to talk about all 3 Russians on the team.
That's true.
So we got to talk about the third Russian.
Up to our promises.
Steve, Egor Zamula was rough last night.
It was often rough.
It wasn't good. I mean, he gets bailed out because the one bad turnover he has leads to a goal that the Flyers get overturned on an offside. But that doesn't change the fact that he had the turnover that directly led to the goal.
I don't know what is going through his head on most nights. Like, he's one of those guys that I really wish would just be a perfectly fine third pair defenseman. And some nights he looks like it. Some nights he has those incredible, like, cross-ice passes to set up goals from where he gets fed from Michkov.
He's not lacking for skill. He has some skill.
He has some skill, but he doesn't have good sense for the defensive game. And that drives people nuts because he makes dumb mistakes and the team will pay for it. And it's like, you're a defenseman and we really I would love to play him over Juleson because Juleson, again, is been fine, but he's very slow. I would much rather.
He's slow, in fact.
He's pretty slow.
He hits well.
Yeah. Which is definitely a good factor. But when you play speedier teams, Juleson's getting blown away to the outside, and it's terrible. So I would love if Zamula was just fine. This is why I'm not a believer in Ristolainen coming back yet because he's been gone so long. I think of him like Sasquatch, like he's just not a real thing in my mind until he's back.
Right.
But I'm excited if he does theoretically come back to see what this defense looks like because that's a pretty darn good 1-6 defense right there if he's in there.
I'd be very intrigued, and I know they're trying Andrae with Drysdale right now, and I'm excited about that. I love the fact that they're giving Andrae a shot in the top 4. But I really would like to see Andrae with Risto,
I think
because
that's
that
fun.
to me just strikes me as like a logical pair where Risto can be the big guy smash and play all the good defense, and Andrae can really get unshackled, because it's probably tougher to be truly unshackled as a puck mover, especially as a puck carrier, when the guy next to you is also a puck mover and a puck carrier. I like the idea of putting him next to Risto, giving him slightly easier matchups, and just hopefully letting that third pair run over the opposition. And then maybe you put Sealer back with Drysdale and see if that pairing does better than it did in the first part of the year.
And it's kind of the same theory, right? Where you
Yeah.
have the puck mover and you have the at-home guy, and Sealer obviously is very much an at-home guy, although he can move the puck a little bit. Sometimes he makes an occasional turnover, but for the most part, what I like about Nick Sealer when he has the puck is that he just kind of gets the puck on net. Like, it's never pretty, but
It's
he
true.
gets it.
He
He
does.
moves it forward. But going back to Zamula, like, he just not. He just isn't it, right? Like, we have given him so many chances at this point to prove himself and establish himself in the lineup, and he just does not take advantage of it. He has, like, for every one good game, it's like two steps back, two games that just looks like a total bonehead. Going to be real interesting to see what they do with Colorado if Cam York can't play.
Yeah, it will be, and it's going to be a tough test for Zamula if he has to go in the game. I'm just intrigued to see what they're going to do with Zamula long term, because more every day it seems like it's harder and harder to imagine where he fits long term. Oliver Bonk is likely going to come back and play in his first AHL games this weekend, so he's on the road towards making a case to make the NHL. We talked about Kyrou is establishing himself in a new organization. I'm just finding it harder and harder to see where Zamula fits, but I guess there's still time for him to change the narrative about his Philadelphia career. But right now, I'm just not sure if he's long for this roster. Not saying they're going to move him tomorrow, but next year, a year down the road, I'm not really sure where he fits in.
It's a lot like the Samu Tuomaala situation where I just don't see a future role for him in the current setup.
Yeah, I mean, Andre seemingly has jumped him on the depth chart,
And he should.
and he should. But that was not a foregone conclusion going into the season. Now Andre's ahead of him. Now you got Risto coming back. You're going to have guys like Bonk trying to bang the door down as well. It's just getting harder and harder to see where he fits.
Yeah, it's getting real hard. And I'm really glad Andre's jumped over him, because we were worried that Andre was never going to show that skill like we knew he had, because he had that flash early last year. And then Torts decided to punish you specifically for pointing out that he was good. And then this year, it didn't seem like Tocchet was really impressed, but then he got that chance and he impressed Tocchet, and now he's one of the guys.
Yeah, he got there, and now Andre's getting big minutes. All right, now we are going to close out the show with our super chats. Let's see what we got from our viewers today. So first, we have one from Grezasar, I believe. Great questions in the scrum this morning, Chuck. Do you think Tocchet may have given us a hint to why MM's minutes are down, since he said they are managing Coots and those two are inseparable in his lines? I think there are more variables at play here to explain why Matvei Michkov isn't getting the kind of minutes people wish he was getting than people maybe realize. The Coots thing might play a little bit into it, that, yeah, he's been attached, basically joined at the hip with Coots pretty much all year. And Sean Couturier, Taka said today, is getting his minutes limited a bit because he felt like he might have rode him a little bit harder than he should have at the start of the year.
Imagine if John Tortorella had done that.
Yeah.
Because we all saw that when
that's true.
That
that's a really
one
good point.
season when they missed the playoffs, right? Like, Coots just was a shell in the second half of that season. And a lot of that was because he got ridden really hard and his body was recovering. He was just coming back. So I'm really glad they're limiting his minutes. But at the same time, like, yeah, we do want to see Michkov out there more. But Michkov also has been coming along, getting into shape, as you pointed out.
Yeah, exactly. That was the other thing I was going to say, because, yeah, like that might play into it, that his center is getting his minutes limited. So his minutes get limited a little bit more naturally as well. But also, I think Michkov's minutes were limited because, as with Couturier, they might have been purposely limiting his minutes because they're like, okay, well, if we want to get the best version of Matvei Michkov, we can't throw him out there for 20 minutes because he's going to get tired until he ups his fitness level. Looks like his fitness level is on the way up. So hopefully that means more minutes for Michkov. Because look, just because you're limiting Couturier's minutes does not mean you have to limit Michkov's minutes. You can give Michkov a couple extra shifts with other lines. Give him a couple shifts with Trevor Zegras just to see what happens. Like, there are ways.
Love that.
It's not like you have to only use Michkov with Couturier. You can use Michkov with other lines as well, scattered throughout the course of a game to make sure he gets more minutes than Couturier, even if you are purposely limiting Couturier's minutes.
One other factor to throw in there, we talked about the penalty minutes today. He's averaging over 2 minutes a game. So
yeah,
I think that's probably a factor in there as well, if he's getting at least a penalty a game.
Yeah, it's a shift a game, at least. All right, last super chat for the day. This is from two more. We got another super chat
one
late.
under the wire. There
So
we
this
go.
one is what's this? Leah 20 some. Okay, yeah, I can't read that. Can you increase the size of the screen real quick? Because I cannot read this. Okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. JJA7242. Random question. How do we feel about the goal song? Kind of hoping they change it when we are good and in the playoffs, but that's just me. Love the show. Look, I have long been a hater of the goal song. I do not like the goal song. I said that from day one,
I'm one supporter,
and I got backlash for it. My issue with the goal song more than anything is that I think goal songs without words are boring. I don't like that it is just a guitar riff. I want words. I want something to chant. One goal song, I believe it was one of the new women's hockey teams, and maybe this works better for women's hockey, but I think it would work good for men's hockey too. They picked "Misery Business" by Paramore.
Oh,
pretty good one. I never thought of that one. That would be
yeah.
Whoa, that would be good. And then, like, I never meant to brag. Like, I don't know. We just scored a goal. I actually did mean to brag.
I mean, the Canadians are always saying they didn't mean to brag, but
they did mean to brag because they're just being polite.
They're still using Van Halen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
There's no words. It's just a guitar.
Hey,
it's boring.
Hey, it doesn't say hey.
Oh, yeah, I guess there are, but
there is a hey.
Yeah, I guess
I'm the one supporter. I love it, but I'm the only one.
It.
I did love Bro Him though too.
I like Bro Him because Bro Him.
They never should have dropped Bro Him.
Does anybody in that arena actually go hey? No. Whereas with Bro Him, everybody in the arena actually did go, whoa.
I mean, you're all right. I just love the song. So I don't know. I just like Van Halen. I'm also 40, so whatever.
Okay, fair. All right, two more. Now we got one from Park R84. Andre plays, Flyers win. That is true. Andre played.
You're damn
Flyers
right.
won. I'm thinking this now that Andre is playing every game. This might more just be that like the Flyers win a lot because they're a pretty good team, and Andre happens to be a member of a pretty good team.
It's almost like putting your best lineup out there is conducive to winning.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one from Lyndon49, longtime viewer and listener of the show. Thanks, guys. You know what, Lyndon? Thank you.
Oh, we didn't even time. That was
It was perfect. I'm just very grateful for you, Lyndon. All right, and that will do it for our show today for the PHLY Flyers show. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Charlie O'Connor and Steve Jaco. Thanks so much for Julia for picking up as our producer today. And we will be back on Sunday. We are off tomorrow. We will be back on Sunday for the pre and post game for the Colorado Avalanche game. I believe Steve is going to be hosting the show.
Me and Kelly Hinkle going to be a good time right there. One under the wire.
Oh, we got a Gresasaur. I go, hey, while I'm there.
Hey.
I do not hear anyone going, hey.
It's me and Gresasaur.
It's just you two. Not a fan of the goal song.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.